Hey there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back. I'm your host, PattSun, and today we're gonna be taking a look at r/confessions, where we have two stories of cheating wives having an affair with a gym chad, only to suffer the consequences later on. Let's begin. My wife cheated on me and destroyed our family. Is it normal to be worried about her? Okay, I'll answer this question for you right now, OP. No.
Weird title, I know. I was cheated on publicly by my wife of almost 20 years. Why would I feel sorry for her? I should be angry, bitter, jaded, everything, but I'm sympathetic. Here is my story. I was in a marriage of 15 years with my now ex-wife. We met as teens and loved each other. She was kind, funny, and chilled out. I was from a lower class background, and we worked together to build a very decent life for ourselves and our children. We bought property, established great careers, and traveled the world. She never criticized me, we never argued, nothing. She treated me like a king and I treated her like a queen. Then she joined a gym in North California. She begged me to come with her, but I was too preoccupied with work and other commitments, but I encouraged her to go alone. She was determined to lose the pregnancy weight she had gained with our last child. She was lean for the entire relationship, so I think the weight made her self-conscious. She started going to the gym every day. All seemed well for the first 6 months or so. Then one day she came home and told me that one of the male personal trainers had offered her a free session and asked if I was okay with it. I said yes, and she went. She then told me that she was going to do a 30-session transformation package with him. I was still cool with this. Bear in mind, we had never so much as had an argument in our entire marriage. I never had a reason not to trust her. A few sessions and I started to notice changes in her, the way she talked, walked, styled her hair, dressed. It was shocking. 3 months later, she told me that she had developed feelings for her trainer and wanted to separate. I couldn't believe what she was saying. I couldn't recognize the woman in front of me. It was almost like he put a spell on her. The words she was saying, her energy, the look in her eyes, I could not recognize her. The woman I had known since we were kids. I fought for her at first, but it was clear that she was going to pursue this man. So I agreed to separate. She went into a relationship with this guy. About 6 months in, I started seeing more changes in her. She became withdrawn, frightened, and had started putting a ton of weight. Her mental health had deteriorated quite significantly. I then discovered that the man had been threatening her for money, blackmailing her with intimate images, and had asked her to sign over one of our homes to him to avoid him going public with her affair with him. I put affair in quotations because I knew about him, and she had been pretty upfront about the entire thing. She had audio of these interactions, so I know it is true. She even told me that he had been sexually abusive. She had already given him a good amount of money by the time I had found out about this. I told her to go public with her relationship with him to take away his leverage and cut ties, which she did. We later found out that the guy has an extensive criminal history and has done similar things to women before. I was angry for a long time. This happened 2 years ago, and I stopped talking to her for a while. She went into a deep depression and ended up in a facility for a short period. She was unfit to work, gained 100 pounds and stopped leaving her home. 2 years on, I can truly say I have moved on from it all. I don't hate my ex-wife. I am okay with how our marriage ended and I am ready to look for love. I am in great shape, my finances are great and I am pretty happy. My ex-wife is still in a poor state. We are friends, and despite all these issues she has picked up, we co-parent well together. My feelings have changed from anger to sympathy. I had a look at all of her messages, and not that it's an excuse, but I can see that the guy really worked her, and I feel some sadness for her. I doubt she will move on from this. Should I help her?
Tell me, why the hell would you even consider this? She didn't give a flying fuck about ruining your life, ruining your children's home. All she was thinking about was herself, and now she's suffering the consequences of her selfish actions. OP, remember that she's your ex. Unless it affects your children, she is not your concern. She made that choice years ago. And now for today's second story. My ex-wife contacted me out of the blue to tell me that the man she cheated with and left me for mistreats her. I told her I don't give a fuck, and now people are shaming me on my social media. Posted by Reddit user Big Town Pizza Lawyer.
I'm 31 and my ex-wife Claire is 35. We were married 10 years ago right when I turned 21 and graduated college. We were married 5 years. During my whole marriage, I thought we were happy. I certainly was. Anyway, I worked in the IT field and still do. We never got into fights during our marriage and our sex life seemed to be satisfying. A couple of months before I finally caught her with her affair partner, she turned cold to me. Whereas before she had loved to initiate sex and loved having it with me, suddenly we tapered off. Every day turned into once a week, then for the last 2 weeks before I outed her, not at all. I caught her because she had left her phone out, and it was still open to a naked selfie that she had sent to a number I didn't know. Although I was crushed, I kept my head on and took photos of her phone with my phone. I saw her message stream with her boyfriend, some guy from the gym that I was paying her bill for. I didn't confront her. The text told me all I needed to know. They had been screwing while I was at work, in my bed. I just kept quiet. Then the following said when I knew she would be at her supposed double yoga class and that's why I'll be gone 3 hours. I loaded my stuff into my car and left. I had talked to a divorce attorney and I would be fine. I was 25 and didn't have serious money. Her father had passed away and left her like 200 grand, so she was rolling in dough. I had no claim on that money, nor should I have had one. We had no kids, although she had always claimed we would start having kids when she turned 30. That birthday came and went, but rather than start having kids with me, she decided to just spread her legs for someone else. Although I was the sole income earner, she was in possession of a vast amount of money, also had a college degree and was a school teacher for 2 years before we got married. The divorce papers were left on the kitchen table. She of course blew up my phone later with all kinds of apologies and begging and pleading, but I ignored her. A lot of her friends tried to call me and left nasty messages about how I was a coward and never loved her, otherwise how could I ghost her? I ignored all of them. The only person I called was the guy's wife, who promptly dumped him. But I guess it worked out for my ex, because she and her boyfriend got married just a few months after the divorce finalized. The only time I ever saw her again was in front of the judge to end our divorce case, where I had to pay 0 alimony and it was a clean break. She never looked at me once but kept her head down. She brought her boyfriend from the gym and he was flexing, trying to look hard like he was going to fight me. I just shook my head at him and thought he gets what he pays for. I've been on dates since then and have had sex a few times, but have never been in a long-term relationship since. This was my own choice. In a lot of ways I'm not over my relationship with her. I don't love her anymore, but I'm turned off to loving anyone now. I reconnected with some of my friends I had neglected during my marriage, since my wife disapproved of me being friends with anyone. Facebook used to be an app I used, but pretty much anyone I care about I already see and converse with face-to-face or on the phone, so I never use it anymore. Apparently, Claire had spun a narrative that I was mentally abusive and that's why she had no choice but to leave me for a fair partner. My parents didn't buy it, and my close associates didn't buy it either, but she tried selling that crap to my boss to get me fired. I guess as revenge against me ruining her boyfriend's marriage. Ironic that she caped for his marriage, when it was his new bachelorhood that helped make a relatively honest woman out of her. I just showed my boss the texts, where my ex begged for mercy and forgiveness and admitted she was having an affair, that I was a good husband, etc. He just told me he was sorry and gave me 2 weeks paid off to rest. Fast forward 6 years. I'm still single, just working in my same field and at same company, but making more money now and I am doing pretty well for myself. My own apartment, I've got savings, I've got a 401 Kelvin, a car, and am generally happy. I do what I want, when I want, and answer to no one. I suppose I could put a down payment on a house but I don't need one, I'm happy where I'm at. But last week my ex started texting me again. I never blocked her number since there was no need to. She hadn't been trying to contact me anymore since the flurry of old messages a long time ago, begging me not to divorce her, and telling me the other guy didn't mean anything to her, blah blah blah. At first her messages were just friendly. Hi OP, it's Claire. Long time no see, how are you? I know I fucked up, can I call you? Then she tried to call me at least 10 times. I didn't pick up, and I didn't answer any of her texts either. OP, this is still your number, right? I talked to a mutual acquaintance and he says this is still your number since you replied to him on it. Please talk to me. She then told me how much she missed me and how I was the only man who was ever good to her. Then she started sharing information. OP, affair partner is such a bastard. He hurts me, I don't know what to do, I made the biggest mistake of my life throwing you away. You were the best thing that ever happened to me. I still ignored her. Then she started naming off different ways that he hurt her. I don't ever want to contact her again, so I texted our mutual acquaintance, a person who had joined in on calling me a coward years ago, but with whom I still have some contact because I know his family. I told him what Claire told me and asked him to get into contact with the proper authorities if what she's saying is true, because I don't give a motherfucking shit about Claire anymore, and I don't care if she starved to death in the street or died, but maybe her friends care. I actually used those words. Looking back, it's obvious I do care if I bothered to try to send such a hateful message through an intermediary, but I didn't want to get involved otherwise. I also think Claire is trying to manipulate the former nice guy I used to be. The old me would have rushed to her rescue and be a shoulder to cry on. Not anymore. The acquaintance told me I was an evil person and a monster and blah blah blah. I told him to fuck himself and blocked him. For the first time in forever, I logged into Facebook. As expected, no one that I used to think of as a friend had ever tried to message me to comfort me or help me back when I was first getting cheated on and divorced. I had gotten a lot of support from my family and actual friends and coworkers who had since become outside friends. Tons of people who were her friends had been sending me messages now, telling me they were right to support her because I was abandoning her in her time of need. Like seriously, what the fuck? What am I supposed to do? I'm her ex-husband and someone she cheated on. They know about the alleged misconduct on the man's part, so as her friends, what are they doing about it? I'm just some guy she used to know and who she hurt. I kept on getting the abuse. I screen captured all the texts she had sent me recently as well as years ago, and have decided to stop taking high roads on social media and just pasted all their feeds with her texts, where she begged me to take her back and she admitted to cheating on me. Finally, they left me alone. Now she is still texting me, complaining about what I said to the mutual acquaintance, and accusing me of never loving her, that I was an evil person. I never replied to her. I feel good about what I did, and in my own sick way, I feel like I have closure. Claire, if you're reading this, fuck off and crawl back to the shadow realm.
OP, you owe her nothing, and it's insane that there are people out there who actually think that you do. Why isn't she going to those friends for help? Why aren't those so-called friends of hers helping her if they know the situation? Oh, that's right, because they don't want to deal with her bullshit, so they want her to be your problem. Yeah, no, you did the right thing. Nicely done, OP. Viewer support is the best way for me to remain independent and continue bringing you these daily videos, which will always be here on my channels for you to watch absolutely free. So please consider subscribing to me on Rumble and on YouTube. Both will be linked in the description box down below. Thanks for listening, everyone. If you even somewhat enjoyed today's story, make sure to give this video a thumbs up, and if you really like it, consider subscribing to PattSun to never miss a future upload. Stay strong.